right, and welcome in. This is probably not the news that anybody wanted to hear, but Eddie Radosevich, George Stoya, Bob Prisbillo here in the Sooner Scoop studios. I guess it's become kind of an infamous thing. When something bad happens, we got to get to the studio. We got to talk about it, and obviously the news is out there. Jordy Bahl, no longer a part of the Oklahoma program. She announces on Twitter Monday afternoon that she is going to enter the transfer portal. I guess I'm putting words into her mouth because it was, I'm just leaving Oklahoma. I'm going to finish something from where she started. But guys, this has been a story that we've been tracking now for 3-4 days. I think since literally the end of the national championship season for Oklahoma. They had the softball celebration on Saturday where Bob and you and Carrie were over there. They announced that they were going to build a statue for Patty Gasso next season. And then you get the big news today that Jordy Bahl, the All-American, the most outstanding player in the College World Series, is no longer going to be a part of the program. And I guess let's just start there. Immediate reactions to something that, I'll be honest, I didn't think was going to happen until it was out there. And now it's out there. Let's start digging into a little bit of kind of how we got to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was shocking news. I mean, arguably the most shocking transfer, I think, in NCAA history. I mean, it's up there. I can't think of one, more stunning than this. And like you said, Eddie, I got a DM on Thursday night, an hour or two after the national championship.
We had literally been on the field with Jordy 45 minutes before.
Celebrate. It literally detailed this. This is exactly what was going to happen. And it was like one of those things that I laughed it off. And this person knows who they are. They're a Scoop subscriber. So shout out to them. They had it right all along. But it was one of those rumors too. And you guys know this, where it's like, it's almost too exact to not have some truth to it. So of course we go into the weekend thinking, oh, maybe there's something there. And we kind of talked about it a little bit. The rumor started growing on the board. I started talking to a few people in the program. And then yesterday, it really, on Sunday, kind of blew up, and to the point where we were expecting it to happen today. And from the people that I talked to in the program and people that knew the situation, I was told there was nothing Oklahoma could do to influence this situation. I know there's a lot of speculation out there about, oh, she's getting an NIL deal from Nebraska or wherever she ends up going, or this or that. I think it was a very clearly personal decision, and we'll get into more of that. But even again, hearing from some of the people that I heard from, I told you guys this morning, I was like, I still don't believe this, even though they were very credible sources until she actually tweeted it about 1 p.m. today.
Bob, you were with the softball team from the beginning, from all of this. It's just kind of incredible to me that they celebrated a national championship. And I have some thoughts that we kind of talked about in private during the on-field celebration, but just how surprising has this whole thing been and how quickly it came together?
Yeah, I mean, what you're learning is the toll of what this season really took on them. Patty said throughout the year, right, that, we weren't focused on the winning streak. We're not even paying attention to it. And what was like the first thing that she says after the three-peat is complete? The freedom. Freedom they can finally feel. The weight of expectations are finally off their shoulders, and they can just enjoy being themselves again. And they did. Thursday night, there's Jordy Bahl singing with Toby Keith. I mean, you go from one extreme to another. It's like you're having that unapologetic fun night out. Saturday, nothing seems weird at the celebration. That was part of the reason I went. I was going to go anyway, but I want to see. First, was Jordy in attendance? Right. Was Jordy acting off? Was Patty acting off toward her? No. Everything looked exactly normal, the way that you would expect in an environment like that. But it's just fascinating, or just mind-blowing to think. Thursday night, she's pitching the final innings, getting the last strikeout to cement a three-peat championship, and less than 5 days later, she's leaving the program.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Crazy.
24 2/3 innings scoreless at the Women's College World Series, obviously last week or over the last week and a half. 33 strikeouts, one most outstanding player, helped OU to a third straight national title, 44-2, 288, I think, in 2/3 innings as a career at Oklahoma. And now it all kind of comes screeching to a halt. And I think it's kind of incredible just from the outside looking in that you see somebody being able to come to a decision like this in knowing the ramifications, knowing how, some people might view it. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and speculate about anything that, went into the decision, but there are some things that we do know about kind of maybe her thought process in trying to get to where she did today and making that announcement.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there's a lot of personal battles going on with her right now. I mean, there's a clip out there. What's the name of the podcast? I had it pulled up here. Dr. Larry Widman on Twitter. You can find it. Max Out Podcast is what it's called. She did an interview with him on there the other day, and I'll just summarize what she said, and the clip's going around. You can find it on Twitter. But
I think we've all kind of retweeted it at one point today.
But it's, just talking about the personal battles and how she didn't find joy in the game as early as this last fall, and that she struggled with that all season. And you even saw it, maybe a little bit in her game earlier this year. She struggled to start the season, and then really kind of found that fire down the stretch. And so I think that there's more things going on here. Again, like you said, Eddie, I don't want to get too into speculation, but this was very clearly, she wants to be closer to home. I know there's a lot of people out there pointing towards her boyfriend who does play baseball for Nebraska. I think they're in a very serious relationship. Obviously, her family's from there. She was originally committed to Nebraska to play softball. So I think there's a lot of connections. Her best friends are there. There's rumors about, some of her former teammates maybe possibly going to Nebraska. A couple of them play at other schools right now and might be entering the portal. I believe she's very familiar with the coaching staff there as well. So this was a very, very personal decision. I think it's one of those things, Eddie, that as someone that's covered the team, fans, I'm sure, it just sucks, right? It just plain and simple sucks in the sense that you love to watch her play, right?
Sure.
You love to see that competitiveness and I'm sure you'll find some joy in watching her at Nebraska, and I'm sure she'll be great there or wherever she plays. And to be completely honest, Eddie, we talked a little bit about this too. Maybe she doesn't play.
Yeah.
I don't know. That rumor's been out there. Again, I have no idea what the future holds for her. She didn't really specify in her message. She said she's going back to, her home roots. And I fully anticipate her to play, but there's a lot of ifs out there. And I don't know. It's a strange thing. I just think from our perspective, it's damn, she was so much. I mean, she was one of the best competitors, one of the best athletes that I think any of us have covered, and she was only here for 2 years.
I think that's what's most surprising, right? I mean, she's walking away with 2 years left on the resume that you go, she could leave this sport as maybe the best to ever do it.
Ever.
Certainly one of the best to ever do it at Oklahoma, maybe already as a sophomore. And that's why I think it was so surprising when you first hear maybe the speculation or the rumors that were out there at the end of last week, at the end of the season. You kind of go, well, maybe they're just going to give her some time and cooler heads prevail. Maybe she's mad about something. But it is interesting that, for the most part, and you tweeted out a screenshot of some of her teammates' reactions. We've seen some of the reactions from fans just on, social media. And I think everybody knows how that animal can be sometimes. I think that there is a lot of gratitude right now and a lot of understanding of kind of where she's coming from and at least understanding that maybe there is something bigger than just, oh, she's pissed at Patty or, whatever. And I don't think that that's the case.
Right. And that's definitely not the case. And that's actually, you give credit to Jordy for how she put out the statement.
Right.
I mean, this resonates. For the last 2 years, despite the amazing opportunities and accomplishments, my love for home and the acknowledgement of my foundation have grown. Being away from these things has been very tough. I mean, she's letting you know what's going into this. It's not being disgruntled about not being, I don't know, the pitcher that goes 200 innings or something like that, or something that happened with Patty. It's clear it's not that. And as George said, it's not like something you could have done to try to convince her. She had made up her mind. This is what she was going to do. And I thought she did a great job of trying to explain it, leaving it so that people can't be like, well, what was she really? What can I read between the lines here? I mean, that's about as clear cut of a statement as you're going to find.
I would also add to that from the people I've talked to, and Patty put this in her statement about the conversation. It sounds like Jordy told her on Friday. Mm-hmm. I know over the weekend there were several more conversations that she had with the team, with the staff. These were very emotional conversations and meetings that lasted hours long. So again, I think that there is no ill will towards the Oklahoma program. I know some people will think that. There's no ill will from her teammates about her leaving. I think that it was a very mutual thing. And I think you're seeing that, like, and I don't want to, this is like a bigger discussion, and some people probably won't like this, but there has been a bigger emphasis, I think, in sports recently about accepting these sorts of things. Like, you have to be happy in your life to, be happy playing whatever sport you play. And I think you're seeing people be more accepting of that now. And this is one of those situations where I think she just wants to be closer to home, and that's where she knows she'll be happier.
And this goes back to what the girls have said and what Patty has said time and time again about finding the joy and saying softball doesn't define you. This is a real example of showing of whether or not they live by those words, because this is the best player on the best team. And it's like, what do you mean you're leaving? You can't leave us. We need you so we can get that fourth in a row. If you truly care about the person first and about them finding joy and how softball doesn't define who you are as a person, then this is a perfect example of showing grace as Jordy leaves the program.
I think it's maybe even a bigger conversation to be had too. And this is just like completely from the outside looking in and spending the very minuscule time that I did around the softball program over, the last week. It was basically 2 days. So it really, I can't say it was a whole lot. It just kind of, it surprised me how like grueling. And I think that was the word that Patty used. The season has been as a whole. I made a comment to you after the game when we were down on the field getting all the sights and sounds stuff, just how even though they were the number one team in the country, even though that they were expected to win, it just seemed like Thursday night after the game, it was more of a relief than it was a sense of enjoyment and almost fulfillment of being one of the best teams to ever do it. Like, and the burden that came with the winning streak and the burden that came with, basically being in front of the entire country again, knowing that, with one slip up, they're going to probably be remembered for something else other than being one of these greatest teams of all time. I don't know. It just kind of dawned on me and almost reminded me of like the stress that comes with it, and listening to Patty talk and listening to some of the players talk. And I think that they filled, the religious side of it and their beliefs and stuff like that. That kind of, I guess that's where they got their fulfillment. It wasn't the wins and losses or the scoreboard or all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It just kind of reminded me that they are,
human.
19.
They're human.
Yeah, they're human. And there are like feelings that come with, being a part of something that is so great and so grand that everybody thinks like, how could you walk away from something like that if you're a Jordy Bahl? And then in the back of your mind, you're like, it really doesn't. Nobody gives a damn if you're not happy. Like, and especially like if you're somebody like Jordy Bahl, who, could be one of the best to ever play the game of softball. Like, who gives an S of what's really happening on the softball field if you can't go home at night and look in the mirror, for a lack of better words?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a deeper discussion than probably everybody wants to get into, but I think at the end of the day, that's why she made the decision. And I
almost respect it. Like, it's almost like
it takes a lot of guts to do what she did.
Ton of guts.
I mean, it takes the most guts. Again, we've
can't
never
imagine.
seen it in and some people are like, well, it's like Caleb Williams. It's completely different than Caleb Williams, right? Like, I mean, he went and followed the coach that recruited him, all those sorts of things. We talked about it's like, someone transferring from Alabama to Auburn. It's not. No. Nebraska's not anywhere close to Oklahoma.
Right.
It's just, it's unprecedented, and it's truly shocking. And I think it's been great, though, I will say, to see most of the fan base, I will say, supporting her, understanding it. And I think that's good. I mean, because I was worried that Scoop was going to end up on the message board geniuses, again, which they still might. Well,
you never know, and they probably will if they're doing their jobs. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. And Bob, you've been around it all year as far as covering the softball team, being around the win streak, at all of the media availabilities and all that kind of stuff. And I just think that, like, I don't know. Right now, OU softball is a little bit of a different animal in that everybody just expects to win. You kind of saw it, like, even going into the Women's College World Series, the tenor of the fan base as far as like almost laughing at Florida State for even thinking that they could be on the same field, when it's, I don't know, at the end of the day, it always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and that they are college students. They're student athletes. And I know everybody kind of rolls their eyes at that. And even with the football team, I roll my eyes at that sometimes. But there is a lot of pressure on these people to go out and dominate a sport that simply isn't dominated like they have.
Yeah, I mean, when you look, and that's what might be a takeaway from all this, is really appreciating what the 2023 team just accomplished. Like, how the heck did they do this? We talk about the run differential, the ERA, the home runs, the winning streak, just all of that. The way they dominated against the top 16 seeds in the entire country. When you looked at the Women's College World Series, it feels like they beat them. It's like, just what an outstanding, just almost like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
As great as the previous teams have been, for all of this to come together in this one year, and it's almost like, what more could you do? And there was that joke Saturday. It's like, just wait till next year.
Yeah.
They won't lose that one game. It's like, so that's already, you're putting that burden of expectation on what 2024 is going to do. And truth is, I don't think we'll ever see anything that just happened during the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
and Jordy Bahl will always be a part of that.
Sure,
Absolutely.
And
I think Bob hit it. I mean, fans should. I don't want to tell fans how to be fans,
right?
But they should not take this for granted what they're doing.
Well, I think it even goes back to like maybe just for OU athletics as a whole, it feels like even since those 2017 years when Oklahoma wasn't able to get it done on the football field, that everybody has just expected dominance from almost every single sport, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, softball, whatever. And obviously the softball team and the program has elevated itself much further. I mean, they've won 6 national championships in the last decade. They've won 3 in a row. But at the same time, it's like, I just hope that people do appreciate what they just witnessed over the last 3-4 months, because like you said, Bob, it's been something that I think a lot of people have gravitated towards. And obviously when you're on a 53 game winning streak or a 50 plus game winning streak, whatever it was entering the NCAA tournament, or before they even got to 47 and broke the record or tied the record. I mean, it just seemed like it was so expected that nobody could really appreciate the moment. And I don't know, in a way, I think that that's kind of sad, because it almost kind of takes away from the accomplishment that they were able to make.
And I would agree 100% with that. Just now, as you start to look at hindsight and like some of the interviews that have happened, and
right?
Like, were they really able to enjoy what they were able to do the last 3-4 months, or was it just all this pressure mounting on them to where it's like, we have to do this? There's no other choice for us than what everyone is expecting us to be able to do, and it's something I can't relate to. I don't know if a lot of us can relate to what the heck they just put themselves through. But you hope, I know Alex Storako is big on mental health. That's why she has the green bow. Is you wonder, is there going to be a mental toll that will happen with some of these girls based on what this year was really like?
And I think that that's like going back to Georgia's decision. I thought ultimately maybe that's what was going to happen. Everybody was going to go, don't enter the transfer portal. Let's just take a moment. Everybody get away from softball. Don't think about softball for a couple weeks. And then maybe we come back and reconvene and you change your opinion on wanting to leave and stepping away from a championship program that's won 3 straight in a row. You step away from the pinnacle of the top of college softball. I don't know. I almost respect it more because she has made that decision. It's like, yeah, there are some things that are more important than just winning. And, credit to Jordy Bahl for being able to stand in front of everybody and do that today.
And I don't think it's like, obviously, yes, I think the pressure weighed on all of them.
Sure.
I don't think Jordy necessarily.
And I'm not saying that they didn't have fun or nobody
right.
They obviously love being around each other.
Yeah. And I would just say, I don't think this is, and again, I would love to just sit down with Jordy and have her talk about it. And she, I would think she would be.
Just wait at I-35. Just wait until she makes it through Oklahoma.
But I don't think she's necessarily running from that pressure either.
Right.
Because the pressure, let's be honest. If she ends up at say, Nebraska, there's going to be a lot of pressure on her there, right?
Oh, sure.
It's her home state. It's her home school that she grew up, rooting for. She's going to be their ace in every single game. I'm sure she'll also hit. They will be totally relying on her to carry them to, a possibly super regionals, Women's College World Series, that type of of environment. So I don't think it's her necessarily. I think it probably weighed on her, but I think that it weighed on all of them. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. And I don't know if we want to jump into what's next, but I do think they're going to be very active in the portal. And I do think there's probably some pitchers that are very good across the country that see this move and say, maybe I can go to Oklahoma and be the ace.
Yeah, but I mean, because that 4-person staff just got cut in half in the matter. I mean, we knew Alex was leaving. There was no choice there. But for Jordy to depart, you got Nicole May, Kirsten Deal. Ashay Guerin was a redshirt this year, so we'll kind of see what she can bring to the table. But I would imagine any pitcher out there that sort of who's going to bet on themselves is going to say, I can do that. I can be there with Nicole May. I can be the 1-2 punch that the Sooners need to try to get that 4th in a row.
Sophia Nugent has made an announcement. It looks like she's entered the portal today as well for Oklahoma. So it's going to happen. People are going to leave. You can't be somebody like an Oklahoma. You can't be an Oklahoma fan and hate the transfer portal all of a sudden. It's been so good to you, whether it be softball, basketball, baseball, whatever. Football, obviously.
That might tell you that Kinsey Hansen's coming back for her COVID year.
Sure.
Because
I think she is, didn't she? I think she.
Somewhat announced on the
It
Blitz.
feels like that would be a given, but that would be okay. Like Sophia thought she was going to get her turn. Maybe she didn't want to wait another year to try to get that shot because she's a tremendous catcher, and she was tremendous in her role of always being ready when Patty called upon her. But there's going to be those players, and there's nothing against it. I want a bigger opportunity now.
Yeah, and I think that, obviously there's only 9 spots on the field. Like it's kind of like football. It's kind of like baseball in a way that, that's why the transfer portal is in place. And, these whoever's going to take advantage of it to a certain extent. And you just got to be kind of prepared for that as a college sports fan nowadays.
The portal giveth and it taketh away, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's
Alex Stracco, Haley Lee, Sydney Sanders.
Right.
It giveth. Okay?
Yeah,
it
you
giveth
got
too.
some.
Kennedy,
You got
come
you got
on
a national
right?
championship. That will be. I know that's going to be something that everybody's going to go. Well, just go get Nigeri Kennedy.
I don't think she's leaving Stanford.
Yeah,
Go
I don't
get
think
Valerie
that's
Cagle.
easy.
Go get this person. Go get that
There will be
person.
some interesting names that come along, though. I think Valerie Cagle and maybe even a Kelly Maxwell from Oklahoma State are going to be 2 names that, if you're sitting on the outside, if you're sitting in Clemson, South Carolina, or Stillwater, Oklahoma right now, and you look down, there is an opening for Oklahoma in the circle right now.
Yeah. I really like Deal. I think Deal is legit. And
That's the funny thing. Yeah. It's like Kirsten Deal, she was one of the top players in the country, right? Coming out.
Number one, wasn't she?
She was the number 1 pitcher in the country?
Number 1 pitcher for the 2022 class, and it's just we're so conditioned at this point to think, she only pitches like 1 or 2 innings. That's all she could do with this staff. She might be able to go out there next year and be a 150 inning a year pitcher. We have no idea yet.
Real quick, from Saturday night, anything stick out to you from the celebration? I know that Patty Gasso statue is a big deal.
Yeah,
that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be interesting, I guess, to see what the pose is. It seems like they make a statue for everything nowadays, but there's nobody that deserves it more than Patty Gasso.
Absolutely, and I think it caught her off guard just a little bit the way Joe C, because he went and then Patty was like 2 minutes after, and she had to really think about and trying to embrace that moment. She's just overwhelmed, and I mean, we all know it's one of the most deserved honors, that this entire program could give someone, and that she's rightfully earned throughout the years. And we'll just kind of see where they place it, what the pose is, and it's funny they mentioned Patty will be involved. She's involved in a lot of things. So she's been involved a lot with Love's Field in terms of where they want to put stuff. She's got her handprints on every single thing that's about to happen with this program, so she can get it to where she continually wants it to be.
And it doesn't seem like she's going to be going anywhere for a while, Patty Gasso.
Maybe this fires her up a little bit more. If they need any more juice, right? Maybe Jordy Bahl.
I don't know how this program could take in more juice right now on a 53-game winning streak that they're going to have to wait for. What? I guess. Well, technically they play fall ball, won't they? So it's like, I guess 3.5 months before they get back out on the field, something like that.
Yeah, Jordy Bahl is the only pitcher that was on the staff that lost a game this last year.
So they're getting better. They're losing to the dead weight. No, I'm just kidding. Certainly surprising news, though. You guys have been on top of it. exceptional coverage of the Women's College World Series over the last couple of weeks. I know that you guys had a lot of fun out there. It was, like I said, it's going to be something that I think Oklahoma fans, even if you're somewhat angry right now, which I don't think that people are angry by any means, maybe hurt a little bit, maybe surprised, confused.
Yep, confused.
I think that there's going to be something that is much grander, what you're going to be able to kind of take away from what this run was. And hopefully it is remembering that they won 53 in a row. They're one of the best teams of all time. And whether, you want to say it now or, whenever, sure, things might be a little sour right now because of the news that has come out with Jordy Bahl. But hopefully everybody remembers, this team and what this program was for the right reasons. They're still the winners of the last 3 national championships. And, that should never be, and I guess it never will be taken away from them unless the NCAA comes after them at some point.
Yeah, maybe they're
Which
cheating.
they'll have to come through me if they do that. So
Old Mike White will be leading that charge.
yeah, well, that's another thing. We'll get to him on a later date. How about that? We appreciate everybody for joining us. This has been a little bit of an emergency pod, and obviously these never come around when something good has happened. But we appreciate it, everybody on Soonerscoop.com on the On3 Network. We'll have plenty of fallout that comes with kind of what the next step is. Certainly surprising news, but I think news that the subscribers of Sooner Scoop were somewhat studied on. I think that there was some education that went into everything that went into today. So for Bob Przybylo, George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich.